Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror film called The Cursed Dead Man's Prey. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with the arrival of an employee at his home. Inside, the lights won't turn off and there is no TV signal. He feels that someone is lurking inside, so he gets a golf club to defend himself. Suddenly, a creepy man in a gray hoodie appears behind him. He instantly smashes the creepy man using the golf club, but seems to be unaffected. The creepy man attacks him with his supernatural strength. He tries to call for help, but it is already too late. The creepy man already bites him. This causes deformation to his skin and kills him in the end. At his death, the creepy man stares to nowhere and rots into nothing. Later, the authorities reveal that the employee died from a powerful poison, and his murderer was already a corpse 3 months ago. This baffles the authorities because nobody knows exactly how a corpse can rise from the dead and why the corpse murdered the employee. There must be something mysterious and strange behind the murder case. In the next scene, an investigative journalist named Jin is having an interview on a radio station about her book on supernatural phenomena. However, the interviewer seems not to take her seriously, since the spellcaster that collaborates with her is missing. Then she receives a call on the radio from a man who confesses that he is the culprit for the murder of the employee. The caller instructs her to interview him at a specific time and place. After that, she heads to the news headquarters. There she meets a newly employed young intern who will work alongside her. Then she walks upstairs to check the case of the employee murdered by the corpse. It appears that the employee is a researcher at the drug company. She also sees a familiar tattoo in the murderer's hand and a number in its gray hoodie. As she looks at the case, her detective husband arrives to warn her about the interview. The husband is concerned for her safety. Still, she insists on having the interview, since it can help her husband to solve the mystery behind the murder. So the husband agrees, but with the condition that the police officers will guard her during the interview. As the husband leaves, the investigator shows her the video of the spellcaster performing a ritual in Japan. She immediately recognizes the spellcaster. The investigator tells her that if she finds the missing spellcaster, people will believe her story about the supernatural thing. Later that day, she takes a rest in a dim cafe. There, her memories reveal her past with the spellcaster. As it appears, the spellcaster can curse someone using evil spirits' pictures in Chinese letters. In the past, the spellcaster used her powers to kill an evil person in a painful death. Also, the spellcaster seemingly absorbed an evil spirit that attacked her, which saved her. Suddenly, a corpse attacks her in the cafe. Then the spellcaster arrives to save her again from the corpse using its power. But she wakes up, finding herself sleeping on her table, and she realizes it is only a dream. On the day of the interview, the self-confessed culprit for the murder reveals to Jin that he kills people by manipulating corpses. He warns everyone that he will commit 3 murders later. He also declares the person that will be murdered and the exact time it will take place. First, he will murder the director of the drug company. Next, its CEO. Lastly, its president. To stop the murders, the president of the drug company must apologize publicly. However, he does not reveal the reason why the president should apologize. The reason for the apology is left behind as a mystery at this time. After the interview, he hostages Jin to escape. Her husband with the police forces quickly responds to the situation. Later on, the self-confessed culprit suddenly crumbles into pieces. Meanwhile, the high-ranking officials of the drug company watch the broadcast of the interview in their office. It turns out that the self-confessed culprit is a former researcher of the company. After seeing that, the director is crying in fear like a naughty baby, knowing he is about to be murdered. Later on, Jin talks to the professor about the occult practices related to the manipulation of the corpses. The professor informs her that the symbolic tattoo from the manipulated corpses comes from Indonesia. This means that an Indonesian shaman must be the one who manipulates the corpses. He explains that the shaman is able to do this by casting curses on the clay sculptures from the land where the corpses die. The following day, the investigator heads to prison to ask a prisoner who recently worked for the drug company. He bribes the prisoner with a cigarette so he will share information with him. Meanwhile, the director of the drug company is nervously anticipating the murder about to happen. Outside, the troops of special forces set in formation to guard the building against the possible attacker. Jin also rushes there to broadcast the events in the building, while her husband is closely guarding the director inside. Back at the prison, the prisoner reveals that the drug company is secretly recruiting for a clinical trial. They order the prisoner to only look for bums to participate in the trial, since no one would come to find them. So the prisoner recruited 100 homeless and poor people to participate in the trial. All of them died due to the side effects that came from the trial. In the meantime, Jin witnesses the arrival of the 100 corpses from the clinical trial at the front of the company building. They are looking to murder the director inside. The corpses run towards the building like ninjas. They are extremely strong, so the police cannot stop them, and they are able to penetrate the building. While upstairs, the husband tells the crying director to escape before it's too late. They rush to the elevator to quickly go to the parking lot. As the corpses witness their escape, the shaman from somewhere redirects the corpses to fall downstairs one after the other. At the parking lot, the husband tells the director to ride the car while he prevents the corpses from running at them. Luckily, Jin arrives with the news van to hit the corpses. So together with the husband and the CEO, the director safely drives away from the building, while Jin follows them with the news van to broadcast the events. Surprisingly, the corpses know how to drive. They steal taxis outside the building and drive around to chase the director's car. The taxis driven by the corpse start to flock behind the director's car. At the entrance of the tunnel, some of the taxis fall from the bridge to stop their car. Luckily, they evade the taxis falling. Inside the tunnel, the taxis are quick enough to trap them. The corpses come out of the taxi and start smashing the windows of their car. The corpses then enter the car, attacking all of them. The director desperately tries to avoid the corpses. Unfortunately, the car stops as the driver is poisoned by the wounds inflicted by the corpses. Behind the car is another troop of corpses running towards them. They pull the helpless director from the car. Then they scratch him to death. His skin is severely deformed as he dies from the poison. After killing the director, the corpses look at the CEO, warning him that he is the next to die, and they crumble into pieces. Meanwhile, Jin arrives at the scene. She sees her husband suffering from the poison inflicted by the corpses. Thankfully, the ambulance arrives at the scene to save him from death. In the next scene, the CEO meets the president of the drug company. He insists that the president should apologize for the casualties of the clinical trial, but the president finds no reason to apologize to the corpses since they are already dead. So the CEO walks out in frustration. Then he encounters the president's daughter at the door. It turns out that the daughter is responsible for the trial, since she only thinks about the profit of the company. She then just laughs around and calls the CEO a coward. Later on, Jin is in a meeting with the professor and the investigator. She is worried regarding the condition of her husband, since there is no treatment for the poison. The professor explains that the poison comes from the curse of the shaman. She realizes that she needs to stop the shaman from saving her husband. Shortly after, the investigator shares the information he gathers from the prisoner. As it appears, there is a Southeast Asian man that is related to the recruitment of the participants. This means that there might be a possible Indonesian among the participants, but they have no access to the list of clinical trials. Fortunately, the CEO arrives there to hand over the documents regarding the clinical trial. He admits everything to them, as it seems that he feels guilty for the casualties of the trial. He also reveals that the 3 people on the murder list are the ones who approved the trial, that is, the director, the CEO, and the president. Later, Jin realizes that the shaman must be at the building where they conducted the trial, since the land where the corpses died is required to manipulate them. So they immediately drive towards there. Outside, someone in a motorcycle secretly follows them. At their arrival, Jin and her police guards enter the abandoned building of the clinical trial. Inside, they find symbolism in the wall, and it also says, "There is nothing." The symbolism seems to be alive and breathing. Then they head upstairs to search for the shaman. There, a troop of corpses chases them down. They run towards a room and immediately close its door. However, there is a corpse inside that surprises them. It chokes her down to the wall. As she becomes helpless, someone arrives to save her. It is the person who follows them earlier. As it turns out, it is the spellcaster. The spellcaster holds the face of the corpse, removing the curse and killing it in a gruesome way. Suddenly, the troop of corpses is able to open the door and chase them down again, so they rush to another room. There, the spellcaster writes a symbolism on the floor, which creates a magic shield. However, only Jin and the spellcaster enter the shield, making them invisible. At the same time, the police guard is left alone hiding until the corpses find him, so the spellcaster goes out to fight the corpses. But one of the corpses is able to hold her tightly. This makes Jin come out to smash the corpse. In the end, they beat all of the corpses, and Jin tightly hugs the spellcaster. After that, the spellcaster narrates to Jin that she's gone to places where she can stop the evil spirits from possessing her. First, she went to Japan to do rituals. Then she went to a Chinese temple where she learned to control her body and the evil spirits. She just stayed there to avoid other people, but when a dream connected her to Jin, she came here to save her. After that, Jin tells her to never leave again. Meanwhile, the police find the CEO already dead in his office. As it appears, he committed suicide. The president's daughter looks at the face of the CEO. Then she whispers to herself that if the CEO wants to kill himself, He should have done it alone in his home instead. After that, Jin receives a call informing her that the president of the company finally wants to apologize. So she needs to immediately leave to do the interview, while the spellcaster decides to stay in the building to find the shaman. Jin then warns her not to do anything dangerous. Later, the spellcaster, together with the professor and police guards, goes to the mysterious symbolism. She erases the "there is nothing" sign, which magically reveals a hallway in front of them. At the company building, Jin interviews the president. There, the president insincerely says sorry to the people by reading a script. Then she tells him to apologize to those who died in the trial, not to the people in general. However, the president is hesitant and asks for his daughter's permission. The daughter nods to him. This makes the president say sorry like a robot to those who died and victims of the trial. Jin thinks that he is insincere, so she tells the president that she won't broadcast that and insists to the president to be sincere. This makes the daughter furious at her and calls her a trash reporter. She then tells the daughter that her father will die in the curse if he won't be sincerely sorry. This forces the president to apologize again. Intern looks at the eye of the president as he says sorry. Right then, Jin receives a message that reveals the identity of the intern. As it turns out, the intern is already a corpse who died from the clinical trial. Upon knowing this, Jin slowly looks at the intern, where she sees the symbol from its hand, while the intern slowly looks back at her. Back at the spellcaster, the police guards open the door, which reveals the shaman that manipulates the intern. Apparently, the shaman is the intern's father, who is having revenge for the death of his daughter in the clinical trial. The intern joins the clinical trial to earn money, since the shaman cannot provide. Then the shaman seemingly releases a powerful force in anger. At the same time, the intern receives the force from the shaman when she becomes furious at the president, since the president cannot apologize properly. The intern then chases down the president and beats up the guard who tries to prevent her. Shortly after, another batch of guards with weapons arrives in the hallway to fight her, but she avoids them by passing through the side of the building. There, she is able to trap the president. She beats up the remaining guards. The president then immediately hides in the CEO room, but she's able to find him crawling like a cockroach in the room. There, the president nervously begs for his life. Meanwhile, as she's about to kill him, she suddenly crumbles into pieces. Apparently, the spellcaster is able to penetrate the aura that protects the shaman and stops the shaman from manipulating the intern. There, the spellcaster uses her power by holding the shaman. This awakens the shaman. Upon waking up, the shaman is in tears as he looks at the sculpture that represents his daughter. As the shaman cries, tears also start to fall from the rotting eyes of the intern. Back at the building, the president is now safe. The daughter enters the room and closes the door. She asks her father if he is all right. Then she suddenly poisons her father, so she can finally have the drug company. The skin of her father starts to deform like he is attacked by the corpse. This makes it appear that the intern killed the president. Later, as the police officers arrive, she pretends to cry for her father's death. Luckily, Jin is able to record the acts of the daughter using the microphone attached to her father. This makes the daughter have tantrums like a spoiled brat, while the police officers arrest her. The movie ends where Jin and the spellcaster go to visit the husband in the hospital. There, Jin sees the investigator and the police officers laughing around. As it appears, the husband is free from the curse. In the end, their faces are full of smiles as all of them reunite. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.